Okay, so questions 1 through 4 refer to the following methods of solid waste disposal and treatment: sanitary landfill, incineration, discharge to sewers, streams, and rivers, chemical treatment, and biological treatment. So the first question is, which method reduces the volume of waste but could release toxic emissions into the atmosphere? So that one would be incineration, because incineration releases carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Which method is used most frequently in the United States today? Sanitary landfill. Number 3. Which method introduces microorganisms to break down hazardous organic compounds? So this one is biological treatment, because they use microorganisms, so other forms of life, to break down organic compounds. Question 4. Which method would be best suited for neutralizing the acidic components of waste? Chemical treatment. And the only answer that was not used here is discharge to sewers, streams, and rivers, which happens because of landfills, and the waste runs off into larger bodies of water. So questions 5 through 8 refer to the locations marked by letters in the world map below. Number 5 is the location where the greatest number of people would be directly affected by a rise in ocean level. So this would be India, since it's a coastal country, meaning they would be more affected by a rise in ocean level. Number 6. The location of the greatest remaining natural biodiversity. South America contains many diverse ecosystems such as the Amazon, so the answer would be E. Number 7. The location where desertification is occurring most rapidly. So A is referring to Africa, which contains savannas and forests, and which are being destroyed because of farming and overgrazing. Number 8. The location where the size of the human population is most stable. Number 8 is D, which is referring to the United States. The United States has birth and death rates which are similar, so there is a slow growth in population. So questions 9 through 12 refer to the following possible relationships between organisms in an ecosystem: commensalism, which is a relationship which has a positive and neutral effect; parasitism, which benefits one organism and doesn't benefit another; mutualism, which benefits both organisms; predation, which benefits one organism and harms the other organism; competition, which benefits one organism and harms the other organism. So number 9 is exemplified by ticks feeding on a deer. So this would be parasitism. Number 10, exemplified by starlings displacing bluebirds from nesting sites. This would be competition. So the bluebirds are competing with the starlings. Number 11, exemplified by bees consuming nectar and carrying pollen from one flower to another. So this would be mutualism, since both the bees and the flowers are benefiting in this relationship. Number 12, exemplified by moss growing on a tree trunk in a forest. So this would be commensalism, since it benefits the moss, but it has a neutral effect on the tree. So, questions 13 through 16 refer to the following concepts related to energy: heat flow, kinetic energy, potential energy, first law of thermodynamics, and the second law of thermodynamics. So number 13 is matter in motion has energy. This is the definition of kinetic energy, so it would be B. Number 14 is energy is transferred from one object to another as a result of a temperature difference. So this is defining heat flow, so it would be A. Number 15, an energy transformation occurs and results in an increased disorder. So this would be the second law of thermodynamics. Number 16. The amount of energy in an isolated system stays constant. This is the first law of thermodynamics. So the only term that wasn't used is potential energy, which is energy that is stored in an object due to its position relative to a zero position. So questions 17 through 20 refer to the following energy sources. A. Biomass, which is organic matter which is converted into a source of energy or used to make industrial products. B. Wind, which is a renewable energy source which is only used to produce electricity. C. Tidal energy, which is a renewable source which uses ocean tides to produce electricity. D. Nuclear fission, which is a non-renewable source which uses uranium-235 to produce energy. And E. Sunlight, which is a renewable source which is the source of all energy. So number 17. The source that produces long-lived hazardous waste. This would be nuclear fission. Number 18. The source that is converted directly into electrical energy by photovoltaic cells. This would be sunlight. Number 19. The source whose use is a direct cause of deforestation. This would be biomass. Number 20. The source that is not renewable. This would be, again, nuclear fission. So questions 21 through 24 refer to the following qualities of water samples. Acidity, which is the amount of hydrogen or hydroxyl ions in a liquid. Turbidity, or the clarity of a liquid. Hardness, or how many calcium and magnesium particles are present in a liquid. Dissolved oxygen, or the amount of oxygen molecules present in a liquid. Or salinity, the amount of NaCl present in a liquid. So number 21 is measured on the pH scale. That would be acidity. Number 22, caused by suspended particulates. That would be turbidity, which is B. Number 23, decreased by the breakdown of organic waste. That would be dissolved oxygen, which is D. And number 24, measured by the amount of Ca2+ and Mg2+. That would be hardness, or C. So questions 25 through 28 refer to the following gases. Carbon dioxide, or a gas which is released into the atmosphere by burning of fossil fuels. Carbon monoxide, which is a toxic gas released by the incomplete burning of carbon. Methane, which is produced through decay of organic material. Radon, which is a radioactive element that can lead to cancer. And sulfur dioxide, which can lead to acid rain and water degradation when fossil fuels are burned. Number 25 is an important precursor to acid rain. This would be sulfur dioxide, which is E. Number 26 has a stronger affinity for hemoglobin than oxygen has. This would be carbon monoxide, which is B. Number 27 has been implicated as the cause of as much as 15% of lung cancer cases. This would be radon, which is D. And number 28 is a flammable gas produced by landfills. This would be methane, which is C. So number 29. Ozone is in the stratosphere is important to organisms at Earth's surface because ozone molecules are very strong absorbers of. So the answer will not be infrared rays because they are what is reflected off the Earth's surface. It wouldn't be microwaves because microwaves are absorbed by H2O molecules. It wouldn't be visible light rays because they are produced by the sun but are not absorbed by ozone. It wouldn't be X-rays because gamma radiation typically does not enter the Earth's surface. So the only answer remaining is ultraviolet rays, which is B. So number 30. Reasons that human populations have historically settled in floodplains include which of the following? Number 1. The soil in floodplains is usually fertile. This is true because fertile soil is needed for growing crops. Number 2. The terrain in floodplains tends to be flat. This is true because Flat land is suitable for farming and building. Number 3. Floodplains are close to rivers for transportation. Water is essential for trade, cleaning, drinking, farming, fishing, and bathing. So, this is true. So the only answer which is correct is E, which has number 1, 2, and 3 as correct. 31. The National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, of 1969 required all agencies responsible for a major federal project that can significantly affect the quality of the environment to file which of the following? It is not a mitigated negative declaration because that was part of the UCCEQA. It is not an agency review because that is an environmental review of system standards. It is not a cost-benefit analysis because that compares the environmental cost of a project to the industrial gain. So the only answer correct here would be C, an environmental impact statement. Number 32. All of the following are considered toxic metal pollutants except. So cadmium is a pollutant because it is found in batteries and it causes birth defects and cancer. Chromium is a toxic metal because it is used in steel refining and is poisonous in large amounts. Lead is a heavy metal which can lead to poisoning, and mercury is a heavy metal and contact with mercury causes cells to shut down. So the only answer that is not a toxic metal pollutant would be potassium, which is E. Number 33. Which of the following actions would be the most effective in decreasing acid rain and acid deposition problems? So it would not be using higher smokestacks because that does not reduce SO4 produced. It would not be developing acid-resistant crops because that only helps the crops. It will not be adding lime to acidified lakes because that only helps the lakes and not other bodies of water. It will not be relocating power plants to areas of lower population density because that still hurts habitats. So the only answer correct would be B, reducing use of fossil fuels. So number 34. In general, which of the following is the best long-term method of preventing extinctions? Breeding endangered species in captivity will not be correct because this only impacts habitat. Paying people not to kill endangered species is too expensive. Providing food to endangered species in the wild is not good because the species can get their own food. Removing predators from areas that contain endangered species, this would disrupt the ecosystem. So the only answer that is correct is B, which is protecting the habitats of endangered species. Number 35. Which of the following is most likely to occur in a forested region that has recently been clear-cut? So the average depth of topsoil will increase is incorrect because it would actually decrease. The water temperature in streams running through the region will decrease. Is it incorrect? It should say increase. The volume of runoff after rains will decrease. It should say increase. And the frequency of landslides will decrease. The frequency will actually increase. So the only answer that's correct here is A, which is the concentration of nitrates in streams running through the region will increase. So questions 36 to 38 refer to the graph below, which shows different phases related to the birth and death rates for a typical human population over time. So number 36. Zero population growth is associated with. The answer would be E, which is phases 1 and 4. Because in phases 1 and 4 you see a straight line, which shows no growth or no decline in growth. So phase 1 only is not correct because it is also phase 4. Phase 2 only shows a high growth rate. Phase 3 only shows the growth reducing. And phase 4 only is incorrect because it contains phase 1 and phase 4. So the correct answer is E, phase 1 and phase 4. Number 37. The rate of population growth starts to slow down at which point? So the answer would be the beginning of phase 3. because you see that the death rate remains steady, but the birth rate is declining. So that would mean that the population is decreasing. So the end of phase 1 is incorrect because the growth begins in this phase. The middle of phase 2, the growth is still high. So the end of phase 3 is incorrect because the growth ends in this phase. And the middle of phase 4 indicates zero growth. So the only correct answer would be C, the beginning of phase 3. Which of the following is most likely the primary cause of high death rates in phase 1? So it would not be loss of breeding age males due to warfare, because this indicates decreasing birth rates. It would not be loss of breeding age females due to disease, because this indicates decreasing birth rates. It would not be large percentage of elderly individuals in population, because this is the result of low death rates. And it would not be general starvation due to famine, because there are other causes besides starvation which lead to high death rates. So the only correct answer here would be D, infant and child mortality rates. Number 39. Which of the following best shows the process of evolution? It would not be a lizard's color becomes brown as it sits on a log, because this is an adaptation. A bear goes into hibernation. This would also be an adaptation. A plant loses its leaves in a drought. This would be a reaction. And a population of foxes increases as more prey becomes available. This would be a predation. So the only correct answer here is D. A population of mosquitoes develops resistance to a pesticide. So number 40. Most data indicate that during the past 100 years, mean global annual temperature has. So the correct answer would be increased by 0.5 degrees Celsius. It would not be decreased by 5 degrees Celsius because it didn't decrease. And it would not be decreased by 0.5 degrees Celsius because it also didn't decrease. It will not stay the same because global warming has increased temperatures. And it will not increase by 5 degrees Celsius because this is too high. So my correct answer here would be D, increased by 0.5 degrees Celsius. So number 41. According to the information in the graph above, which of the following would most effectively slow the loss of arable land? So it would not be increasing the efficiency of the desalinization process, because this would only help with salinization. It would not be increasing efficiency of erosion control, because it is better to control the cause. It would not be using more extensive irrigation systems, because this would help desertification. And it would not be discovering cheaper energy sources, because this would have no effect on arable land. So the only correct answer here would be reducing urban development. Number 42. Environmentalists oppose the mining of Antarctic mineral resources because it would not be the territorial claims to Antarctica are unresolved because this is political. It would not be the existence of valuable mineral deposits in the Antarctic environment is unlikely, because it is likely. It will not be currently known world reserves are important metals and oil are considered inexhaustible, because this is an international problem. And it would not be the demand for minerals is expected to decline as the world's nations become more industrialized, because the demand is high. So the only correct answer here would be C, which is the Antarctic environment is fragile and extremely vulnerable to the disturbance that would accompany development. Number 43. Fragmenting one large park or preserve into many small parks with human habitation in between them is most likely to lead to which of the following? It would not be stabilization of microclimates, because it's actually destabilization of microclimates. It is a decrease in the proportion of edge habitat, because that should say increase. It's not increase in gene flow, within species, because it should say decrease. And it's not increase in population size of top carnivores, because this does not happen all the time. So the only correct answer here would be A, reduction in species diversity. Number 44. Which of the following metals is considered an energy resource? So the answer would be uranium, because this resource is used in the process of nuclear fission. Cobalt, mercury, copper, and palladium, none of those are used in energy production. So the only correct answer here would be uranium. Number 45. Of the following, which constitutes the greatest percent of domestic use of water in the United States? It would not be drinking, because this constitutes less than 10% of the use of water. It would not be cooking, because this constitutes less than 10% as well. It would not be washing dishes, because this only constitutes to 1%. And it would not be washing clothes, because this constitutes to about 9%. So the only option here, which constitutes the greatest percent of domestic use of water in the United States, would be flushing toilets, A. Number 46. Which of the following best describes soils in many tropical rainforests? So the answer will not be they lack soil horizons, because they do have soil horizons. It will not be they are similar to soils in grasslands, because they do have different characteristics. It will not be they are well suited for growing a wide variety of crops, because they have a low variety of crops. And it will not be they are deep and well drained, because they are actually shallow and poorly drained. So the only correct answer here would be B. They are quickly depleted of nutrients when the forest is removed. Number 47. Which of the following elements constitutes the highest percentage of mass in the Earth's crust? It will not be aluminum, because this only constitutes about 8% of the Earth's crust. It will not be carbon, because this is found in living things. It will not be potassium, that is actually found in fertilizers. And it will not be nitrogen, because that is found in the atmosphere. So the correct answer here would be oxygen, because it constitutes the highest percentage of mass in the Earth's crust. Number 48 reads, if an incandescent light bulb used for lighting has an efficiency rating of 5%, then for every 1 joule of electrical energy consumed by the bulb, which of the following is produced? So the answer here would be 0.05 joule of light energy. It would not be 0.95 joule of light energy, because it has an efficiency rating of 5%, which is 5 out of 100, so that does not equate to 95 out of 100. It will not be 1.05 joules of heat energy, because first of all, it is light energy, and second of all, there is not 1.05 joules of energy produced, it's only 0.05. And same thing with A. It's only 0.05 joules of light energy. And it will not be E, 0.05 joules of heat energy. It's not heat energy, it is light energy which is produced. Number 49. The alternate source of energy for terrestrial ecosystems is... So the answer will not be nutrients in soil, because that is not the original source. The energy comes from life forms. It will not be nutrients in vegetation, because plants get their energy from the sun. It will not be primary consumers, because they are not the original source of energy. And it would not be producers, because autotrophs actually get their energy from the sun. So the only correct answer here would be the sun, because the sun is the original source of energy. Number 50. All the following gases have been implicated in contributing to the increase in global temperatures via the greenhouse effect, except... So it would not be methane, which is released by the flatulation of cows. It would not be nitrous oxides, which is released by fossil fuels and fertilizers. It would not be CO2, because it is released by the burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and by machines. It will not be CFCs because it is released by foams, coolants, and aerosols. So the only answer here that has not contributed to the increase in global temperatures via the greenhouse effect would be O2, or oxygen. So A is the correct answer.